It's time. So this has been trending on the Twitter for a while. Well, this is like a new thing I saw from like Kavos and of course Keemstar and a lot of other people. Everybody's talking about this clip from a while ago. It's a short clip, and I found like the longer clip, which is only about 10 minutes, so we're gonna watch that. But it's this like
how he wants to put himself on the internet.
It's this clip here.
But like Ian and how he feels about how he wants to put himself on the internet has changed.
But I think that was gonna happen no matter what.
That's what he always said.
Sure, yeah.
That had to happen.
Yeah, I think
those videos, like you said, now they were a hit piece, and when you look back at it, you cringe at it.
Absolutely.
It's not something that could have been sustainable, even if you wanted to.
Look, if you didn't change,
you couldn't.
you'd be Keemstar.
Right.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna watch the whole thing. Here's what I'm gonna say. I watched a couple of Content Cops. As time goes on, the fundamental idea of Content Cop doesn't become cringe. What becomes cringe is a little bit of the humor and some of the word usage, like the slur words that they decided to use. Right? And the thing is, though, is that this is something people really need to start understanding, is that we need to stop looking at things from the past and applying our modern day values to them. It's just silly. It's just silly, right? Content Cop, if he continued, would have been doing just fine. Fundamentally, if he did it mostly the same way, except for maybe, again, toning down some of the exaggerated language and making the jokes a little modern day. The thing is iDubbbz got older. He lost interest. That's it. It has nothing to do with like, oh, I gotta change this. He got older and more self-aware, and he thought he was being a little bit cringe, and so he moved on. Thing is like, what one man's trash is another man's treasure. Okay? You know what I mean? So like, yeah, maybe it still would be cringe to some people, but you'd still have a lot of people who loved it. It's everybody's content. You just got older, and you needed to tone down some of the stuff. You know? So, I don't know, man. I feel like, you know, for real, man, it just, I don't know. We're going to watch the whole thing. It just feels weird. So, apparently, there was a comment left under her Instagram that says, iDubbbz can do better than this. He isn't being his true self because this wench has him by the balls. Now, to be honest with you, I'm going to look more into it. I feel like the reason people are having a meltdown, one of the reasons is probably because she does OnlyFans. You know, people are like, oh, and a lot of young guys, some of you guys aren't particular fans of girls who do OnlyFans because you feel like they somehow get like a free shot in life or that their lives are easier. Just gonna tell you, it's not easy to sexualize your body like that. Whatever. Now, the very limited interaction I've seen with her, with like her, Hassan, and iDubbbz, I will say she does seem to be a bit more opinionated than him, and he seems to take a back seat to most things, which is a little interesting. Like, he doesn't seem to be particularly opinionated, and so I can understand why, like, you have a guy who was very open and very opinionated. His entire career was based off of his opinion on other people and turning it into a video. And now he kind of just sits quietly in the corner while his girlfriend tells him to do everything. Now, again, I'm going to watch a little more of the interaction. We'll see. That's kind of what I get. Personally, for me, it wouldn't be something that I'm like, oh, freak you, iDubbbz, because like he chose the relationship. You know what I mean? Like that's what he wants. You know, but of course, we're gonna check it out anyway. She responded on Twitter. She said, "This narrative that Ian has the brain of a 2-year-old and can't make decisions for himself is such an odd one, especially juxtaposed with this intense praise he got for his high IQ from the same community 4 or 5 years ago. Every time a content comp video dropped." I don't think that they said he's too stupid. I guess that would be what you'd get out of that. So by this logic, I'm even smarter to the people than the content cop iDubbbz. I must have 165 IQ. The logic is a little broken here. I don't know. Man. I think it might come more down to like he doesn't. I don't know. Let's watch more. Like I said, like maybe it's people look at him and they go like he kind of takes a backseat. He's not opinionated anymore when he used to be opinionated. Whatever. Let's see what we got here.
People don't know. So you guys started dating. You decided to
This is what the clip's from, by the way. This is a full thing, my understanding.
make an OnlyFans, but that was like years after you guys were already together, right?
Yeah, we were together for 4 years, pretty much at that point.
Wow.
And so then when you made that
Wow.
OnlyFans, there was like a huge
A lot
wave
of people
hate.
cared, which was very surprising. I
Probably, yeah. So what happened? I mean, in your perspective,
Well-
your guys' perspective.
Well, from my perspective, it was basically like I
Do you get to see his wee-wee, or is it just her?
think I had given off this persona of like not liking promiscuous women or like thoughts, e-girls, sluts, whatever you want to say. I think people like saw my video with Tana, not with Tana, about Tana, and thought like, oh yeah, like he doesn't like people like this, and we will collectively like laugh and point at and make fun of.
And to clarify, people like this meaning like women who are not like the modest Wojak meme.
I mean, a modern woman who is
Has
control of
autonomy of
her
herself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so a lot of times.
I'm trying to see, because I think that's a factor. I do certainly think it's a factor. But I also think that might be a little too simple. I don't think it's necessarily just the OF. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, maybe it's because he didn't put his wiener in there. I don't know. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe he should have put more of his wiggler in the OnlyFans, and then we would have all been a lot happier.
And this is what they do to me, is that they would put their values onto me and be like, he's just like me. And then when they find out you're not just like them, then they hate you.
Well, I'm trying to settle with what's happening here, because I don't know that this is like, I don't know. I'm trying to, because like, here's the thing. I'm not trying to be that guy, but I remember I saw a clip from the other day. It was Ethan, iDubbbz, and the Act Man. And Ethan was saying the N-word and stuff, but that's not the core of this. The other two were also saying the N-word, iDubbbz and Act Man. But they were saying it in a way where you should be able to say that word. You should be able to say this word. It's just like any other slur. It's just a word, etc., etc. Now, I tend to disagree, of course. I also understand that was years ago. But the thing is like that type of a take is very assigned with edgier young boys, we're gonna say, right? Yeah, I can't show you the clip because they literally say the N-word. And this was this isn't something to be like cancel them. What word? I think that you can fucking figure that out. All I'm saying is that like this argument of like, oh, I was never that person, but like I think that you were that person and you change, and that's okay. But like this idea where like, yeah, I was never this edgy incel person. I mean, Ethan is on record saying, well, first of all, saying the N-word, and like in a time where it was more acceptable, but it was still very on the line. Also saying things like women in a nature setting are to be taken. These are things that like more edgier boys would identify with. I think that you were that and you changed, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think that people got the wrong idea of you. I think that's who you were. And what's interesting is like to an extent that was me. I was never you should be able to say the word kind of a thing. If I was, I wouldn't. I would just admit it. You know, I've said it in the past. I'm not gonna lie about it. Say it to other white kids on the internet. You know? But like I changed. And I think that that's okay to change. The thing is that I think it's not okay to pretend that you never were that person. Because that's like weird. It's like, I was never that. I was never racist. I never just said the N-word openly. It's like, yeah, no, I did. And it was not good. And I learned. And then that's okay. And then now you young guys who might feel the same way as I used to, hey, you know what? You'll get a little older and learn that you shouldn't be using that word. You know what I mean? And I have more of an appeal. My thing too is like, I'm more interested in talking to you guys who maybe thought like I used to than I am with like the fucking woke crowd. Because maybe I can have a positive impact on you guys. But it's interesting that there's this like effort and this energy to distance themselves from who they used to be by saying they never used to be that person, rather than saying like, hey, you know, I was a little sussy and I get why people kind of latched on to me, but you know, maybe we could all change for the better. You know what I mean? Something like that. You know, the argument makes sense to be able to use a word in the right context, theoretically good, but sometimes it's just a real world. No, like that's the thing, is that they weren't arguing to use it in the correct context. They just wanted to use the word, and they even like iDubbbz specifically. I think both of them, iDubbbz and Actman. And again, this isn't like, hey, cancel these guys. Like this is like, you know, don't judge people's morals today. Like don't assign today's morals to the past. you shouldn't say because you might get punched in the jaw by a black person. Yeah, for sure. Is that they're like, oh, we can say the F slur, and they didn't say the F slur, by the way. You know, they said the word. We can say the F slur, the R slur. We can say all these words. Why can't we say the N word? It was one of those different things, right? And realistically speaking, just so you guys know, like the N word is the most intense word in like at least in American English language, right? That's the reality. You just shouldn't say it. I think that we should get there with everything, even the R slur. You guys would be like, no, we should be able to say that. The thing is, that's a whole conversation that I'm willing to have with somebody, but it's, you know, we don't really care about people with intellectual disabilities, so that's why we don't really care about using the R slur. But hopefully soon we do. And I'm not talking about like people that have like what you would consider high functioning of like, you know, autism or something. I'm talking about people that are like lower functioning, and I know that that word might be a little dated, but like lower functioning that are in the support system that say like, hey, I hate it when people use this word, but like nobody listens to them. Because if you talk to people that are lower functioning, people with like Down syndrome, stuff like that, people that need support, they're like, yeah, I don't like that word, but like a lot of you guys just won't talk to them. I watched a Jubilee video about it, and they were really upset about it. My wife's a behavioral specialist for adults with disabilities. They don't like the word. You know what I mean? So like they don't like the word. Okay.
Yeah,
You were
especially when.
also sorry.
what was that?
I was just gonna add. You were also very like the untouchable
Mhm.
iDubbbz that like people. You never given them anything.
Mhm.
You were always very careful, and you knew how to conduct yourself. And you were putting these videos that like you said, looking back at it, it's kind of like a hit piece.
Mhm.
But you didn't give them any info about yourself, and like
Totally.
you wouldn't mess up. Like you knew.
Right, and I didn't live stream, and I
Yeah.
didn't do any of that for a reason, and
Right.
didn't give. And I think a lot of like the commentary community has kind of woken up to that idea.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see a lot of them shifting from like doing essentially hit pieces on people to like I'm going to review a movie now, or I'm going to review TV shows, things that are like a lot more
Safe.
appropriate
Yeah.
and not psychotic.
I don't know how I feel about this narrative. I mean, I wasn't super invested in I used to watch iDubbbz videos, but I wasn't invested in like internet commentary communities. Because what he's saying now is like, yeah, I used to make these videos where I came off as edgy, but I really wasn't. And the only reason people thought I was edgy is because the only way I was portraying myself was in like a more neutral stance way, so that people wouldn't know the real me. So either this argument is a lie or it's incredibly dishonest. Like, first of all, streaming wasn't that big back then, so like that's the reason he didn't stream. Like, that's it. Second of all, like, I just don't like the things you were saying weren't like in the middle or neutral. He's not saying that he grew out of it. If he said he just grew out of it, that would have been fine. But he's making like these weird arguments that it's like I was never that guy that I clearly kind of was. Like, that's the thing. It's like I just said, like, just say like, yeah, you know what? I was a little shitty, or I don't agree with that anymore. Different times, I thought it was a little cringe. That's totally fine. But like instead, it's just like it just never happened. Like it just never happened, and like I didn't stream so people wouldn't find out. You know, it's just like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of psychotic ones still.
Oh, sure,
but
yeah, yeah.
They're not as popular.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they, yeah.
And so it's like they were waiting for something.
Papaga, you stated some time ago that you saw some of your fans getting the wrong idea about your TikToks. Wouldn't that lend credence or evidence to Ethan Indian's argument that fans assume your stance, whatever an issue? No, so this is okay, I understand what you're saying. Here's the thing. People can do a really good job at using good talking points to lie, and that's what they're doing. That's everything that's coming off. When people would take my videos the wrong way on TikTok, there was a couple of reasons. One, because like it was a small clip out of context, but the biggest thing is that I would almost immediately say, stop this fucking around. Like I was very quick to turn that down when people got the wrong idea. It absolutely happens. But the thing is that like, you know, we're not watching a 10-second clip on TikTok of like an edgy joke that's really open to interpretation. You're watching a 25-minute video or a 50-minute or an hour-long video about like Keemstar or some other person that you're doing a content cop on, and then like you're then in separate videos you're doubling down saying that you should all be able to use the N-word, and it's like, again, this isn't to like cancel, it's just show like that was him, and he did nothing to distance himself from it. So his best argument is that he was grifting for views. That's his best argument. It's like, yeah, no, I never meant that. I just stayed more like ambiguous so people would think I'm a big incel troll or whatever. So like that's grifting. That's what you'd call grifting. Is effectively he's saying that he was lying for views. But what's more likely is it just changed, and instead of admitting that, it's like really weird. It's kind of like just scummy to me. Like, just be honest. Just be like, yeah, bro, I changed. I thought it was cringe. Like, I don't know why this needs to be like 16 different layers of like fucking mental gymnastics.
Definitely.
And then that was that.
It's an opportunity.
All of a sudden, the
like,
opportunity.
So what was
Yeah.
the joke that like you're a cuck or something?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a
Cuck,
popular.
simp.
Yeah.
Simp,
was
simp was
popular back
popular.
Yeah, right.
Sure, you are a cuck. Just own it, though. You know what I mean? Like, you're a cuck. You're letting your wife do OnlyFans. Yeah, or girlfriend, you're a cuck. But it's okay to be a cuck. This is the thing. Let's say, like, my wife did OnlyFans. And people are like, oh, Bubba, you're a cuck. I'd be like, okay, I don't give a fuck, bro. Like, that's it. You can be a cuck. You just have to own the cuck. Okay? He has a chicken. You guys are fucking so dumb. What are you, a dad? That would be a cluck. Okay? Bad. That would be fucking dad humor in the chat today.
And simp and cock. I
The-
thought that was a lot.
It was a big shock though because
But not like in a funny way.
No,
Like in a
no.
really like
Yeah.
misogynistic, gross, like bizarro world way.
I think the most disappointing thing to me is how many YouTubers that I respected had this weird view that Ian wasn't comfortable, like just assumed that Ian wasn't comfortable with what was going on. Literally, our whole relationship has been like just mutual respect and understanding. Everything we've ever done, whether it's him or me, it's been like heavily talked about, like decisions together, including this. And it was an exciting, like we were both
Yeah.
like, this is such a
I was
cool,
like,
great
oh,
idea.
how smart! What an easy way to make some extra money.
Yeah.
And it's
I
And you
perfect
did.
the
You were.
same
I mean, you.
as an Instagram.
Yeah.
Just a bit more lewd.
Yeah.
And the plan wasn't even to be
Do they even show boobs and bobs and vagine? Because if they don't, then what's the point? You know?
like
Yeah.
lewd in the first place.
Yeah, it was-
just to be like.
It was full. It was just like lingerie.
Do you know why she's doing OnlyFans? I don't imagine iDubbbz and her are financially struggling. Yeah, but it's like a little different when you're in like the influencer world. Like for the most part, there's not a particularly crazy amount of longevity. So like they might be like, hey, let's stack up as much money now before we kind of become more like irrelevant, and not in like an insulting way, just like shit happens. So maybe that's why.
At the beginning, and I made crazy money off of like lingerie. I mean, I could have posted a lot of that on Instagram, like 99% of it.
Okay.
But like people were really, it was just weird.
Some people got like I don't know, like some people were like
I wonder, like, who is she? Like, why do people pay that money for her? I'm not even trying to be rude, but like, the best way to make money on there, you have to show like your whole asshole. Yes, and it sounds like she doesn't do that. It's like, how do you, like, why do people pay for that? This isn't like criticism. I'm not like yelling. I'm just like asking. She's just hot. Okay. I mean, I guess she's just not my type. That's not an insult. Again, I'm not trying to be insulting. But okay.
defending by saying she's not actually doing full nudity or whatever. But like in my video, because it's appropriate to take the stance, like you're either okay with sex work or you aren't. Like this in between is like not.
Yeah,
a place
you
You're
can't,
like, it
like,
doesn't matter if it's lingerie or
No.
right. And I think I made comments in my video at the time of like, yeah, my girlfriend can show her,
whatever she
Maybe I
wants.
should watch that video. Because you know what? The one thing, though, it's like it's probably really difficult for iDubbbz to be able to articulate like a response against people. Because like, yeah, people don't really like, I guess you'd call that sex work, right? Can somebody send me the video? The his response specifically. I don't want her response. I want his response because she seems to kind of dominate the narrative a little bit.
It's just
Because like, yeah, it could be a difficult conversation to have. But I feel like it might be more than just the OnlyFans stuff, and maybe I'm just wrong.
parts on the
Yeah.
internet. Like I don't.
I think part of it's just like the separation from his original audience, rather than being like, yeah, guys, I changed and it's okay. It's more like I never really liked you guys anyway. I think maybe that, and like, of course, there's young boy feelings too that are upset that iDubbbz changed, and part upset, but there's probably part of it that they're upset that he didn't just change. Like he told them they're garbage, you know?
don't give a fuck. And I think people took that and they assumed like, oh, you're going full bore. Their imaginations start to run wild because I think of the amount of porn they watch, and then it just goes, to the furthest, darkest depths of the
Yeah.
internet.
It was real interesting to see the reaction because you think like that we're more evolved.
Yeah.
And then you realize like I don't know if it's just these internet kids and all, but like the reaction was
It was
so
shocking.
insane. It was shocking.
It was shocking. I won't lie. Like at that point in my life, like my dad's Alzheimer's had just gotten like he had like reached the point of like no return, and then this internet stuff was happening. And
That's really sad, and I want to make like a horrible joke. It's like, so I can't make the joke. It's so fucked up. I feel so bad. I mean, the Alzheimer's isn't funny, but like, dude, I can't walk the joke back because it's too hard to make the joke. It's too because I was just gonna say like, yeah, she waited for him to have Alzheimer's. This way, you know, he can't scold her for it because you know most of the people that do fucking OnlyFans are fatherless children. I mean, honestly, but that's just a little too mean. I feel. Okay. I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay.
And like there were some days where like literally like couldn't get out of bed because it was just so aggressive. And it was like YouTubers that I never thought would even know that I existed were talking about Ian's opinion about me when they have no clue. So it was super strange, but it was also really eye-opening to us to like understand what that effect is and like what we were doing to people.
So you were very successful in OnlyFans, and then you recently or somewhat recently stopped?
Yeah, I was slowing down just because like for the past year this boxing stuff has been like, I mean, we can't do anything.
Are you active now?
Like I am active, like I'm on there, but I'm not like taking photos. And I mean, this is the first time I've worn makeup.
She's just siphoning people's money, bro. What are you doing? You gotta post the content. Those are the worst. You pay like whatever amount of money, and then you go on there. There's nothing uploaded in like a year, like a month. It's fucking crazy. Not that I would know from experience.
And like, I mean, I can't even do my makeup most days because we're like training and do.
Oh, so it's just not your focus.
It's just can't. You know, I'll probably start
every
it back
time
up.
we do a boxing session, like she comes with me every time, does almost the exact same work except for the sparring. So
yeah.
You know, it's interesting, and maybe this comes out of ignorance. I don't think that there's a particularly high amount of work involved with taking OnlyFans pictures. But there's a lot of mental energy and stress. And I feel like, and this is just speculation, I made a joking OnlyFans once, and I made a decent amount of money. What I would do is I would just like paint my stomach. I wouldn't show anything. I would just paint my stomach like a different thing. It was like fun. But it gets to a point where it gets like weird, where you're like, you feel like you're selling your body. And that was like me not even selling my body in like a real way. You know what I mean? Because people start getting demanding, and then, you know, people start reaching out to you and be like, oh, I want to suck your dick. You know, shit like that happens. And you're like, whoa. Although one time a girl gave me a free year of her OnlyFans, so that was cool. Anyway, I wonder if there's a factor here that they refuse to tell us because it would be a little bit damning of them to say like, yeah, you know what, I was like I'm mentally clocking out of doing porn because it's fucking me up. And I feel like that is a bigger factor than they're letting on. But to a lot of young people, that would be like, see, this is why you shouldn't do it. And it's like, yeah, you shouldn't do it. But some people do it, and it's their choice to do it. You know what I mean? And that's what it boils down to most of the time. A lot of times, too, and they don't fall into this qualification, but there's a lot of people who do some form of sex work because they just have no other option. And they really have no other option. And it gets into a conversation about how, like, women... The jobs that women tend to go towards tend to not be super valued in society, like caretaking jobs and whatnot. And I know caretaking jobs like have a lower qualifications for them. I do understand that, but they're also very important. Caretaking jobs, direct support professional jobs. There's a lot of jobs, and I think that's a conversation about how the way that we value femininity in society, jobs that women tend to gravitate towards. We could have a conversation about how can we bolster those jobs to make them a little bit more effective and allow women to make more of a living doing those jobs. But that gets into like a whole deep conversation. But I feel like there's a factor there, and they're just simply not acknowledging that factor. And I feel like it's because they think it's just going to give people ammunition.
We're doing everything together.
So, well, I guess, and Keemstar was pretty focal in this whole attack on you, him and a lot of people he's associated with, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what he's doing is basically...
That's probably true, but I wonder what Keemstar was saying. I'm not going to dig through the fucking... Because there's like 17 tweets a day for 6 months. No, not happening.
Hitting you where he knows that it's painful.
Yeah, that I've ruined his life.
That you're basically the Red Witch who was fucking... enchanted.
They showed some of it. Okay, that's a little funny, but I could see that. Yeah, okay.
Witch Stannis, and well, he's saying
the Red Witch was kind of hot though.
Have no agency.
From what I remember, the main point of controversy was that there were clips or maybe DM screenshots that circulated of Anicia talking shit on sex workers as a whole. So it was more of a hypocrisy angle. That might be true. Interesting. I mean, people grow up and they change. So all she'd have to do is say like, oh, you know what? I'm fucking stupid. But that kind of lends, if that's true, then maybe she was a little bit incel-y too, a little femcelly, you know?
Yeah.
And he's saying that
Yeah.
you're a witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Ian would burn his child.
Yeah,
So that-
So deep and well
I don't think it's that deep, I think. But okay, sure.
thought out from the man from Buffalo.
it was though genuinely shocking because it is like my biggest. I mean, there's like some days where I ask Ian like,
You know, not for nothing though, because like here's the thing, Keemstar just had a problem with Ninja, right? And he's like, oh, I thought Ninja and I were friends, blah 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 blah. But then you got Keemstar, and he just the way he feels is the way he posts on Twitter. So like I don't know the specifics of what happened with Keemstar and Ninja, but like I wouldn't doubt that he said some dumb shit like publicly about Ninja because he was upset by like a thing, and then all of a sudden things blow up. You know what I mean? Like okay, so like let's say you disagree with iDubbbz perspective moving forward. Even in a commentary community, I mean, like, what? You know, if you're a friend with somebody, maybe they weren't friends, maybe that's what it is. But if you're friends with somebody, there's nothing wrong with looking at them a little differently and being more charitable to them. Like, honestly, I've said this before with the whole Def Noodles thing, like defending Ethan, whatever, I forget which take it was. I was like, I expect Def Noodles to defend Ethan to an extent and say like, hey, I know him as a person. I don't think he's that bad of a guy, while still like making a reasonable criticism. You know what I mean? But there's nothing wrong with like, hey, I know this guy. He's not as bad as you guys may think, but it sounds like maybe that's why Keemstar has trouble holding on to a relationship.
have I ruined your life? Like I feel like because you get so many messages
Yeah,
where like
true,
you have to
true.
think about it. It's like, I mean, I showed up, 2016, and now here we are, and Ian is doing different stuff. Like Ian as a person has not changed very much in like regards to his like moral stance on a lot of things, but like Ian and how he feels about how he wants to put himself on the internet has changed. But
I gotta sit on that one for a second, because I would argue that in the past 10 years I haven't changed. Like the core of who I am hasn't changed. It's just that I've been like more educated on different things. So like I'm still an edgy fuck, right? Back in the day, I used to be edgy fucking screaming fucking racial slurs at people on the internet. That's just what we used to do when we played video games, especially to my other friends. I'm still edgy enough to like scream at my friends when I would play with them, or when I do play with them, but I won't use those words because I know that they're offensive. So I use words that are like within reason, if this makes sense. So like I'm still that person, but I'm just more educated. And so fundamentally, I was never like, oh, I hate these groups. It's more of like you just don't get it when you're just some dumb fucking white kid that's on the internet and interact with other white kids. So like her argument of like he didn't change is true, but again, some of the things that he was saying were like really intense. And like I keep saying, like there seems to be an effort to distance himself from like who he was and what he used to do, rather than to be like, yeah, I've just changed. You know?
I think that was gonna happen no matter what.
that's what he always says.
That had
You don't think I'm edgy? I just made a joke about her, never mind.
to happen.
Yeah, I think
those
he-
videos, like you said, now they were a hit piece, and when you look back at it, you're
Yeah, he
crazy.
cares more.
Absolutely.
It's not
He's older, yeah.
something that could have been sustainable, even if you wanted to.
Look, if you didn't change,
you couldn't.
you'd be Keemstar.
Right.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
YouTube changed as a platform. They don't
That's
allow
true.
stuff like that anymore. Like
They still would allow content cop, just not as aggressive. I already did commentary on this part before in the beginning, so we're not going to do it again. But what I will say is, like, Keemstar does seem to be very happy with the fact that he hasn't really changed. And personally, bro, why? Why? I am very rounded. Yes, thank you. I'm very round. You know what I mean? Why not change a little bit? You know?
they did back then, everything changes.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
so you shouldn't feel like
No, okay. When I say, I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with distancing himself from who he used to be. The argument I'm trying to make is that he's pretending like he was like, I don't know. I already kind of went over it. It's not like he's like, hey, I've changed and I'm moving forward in this way, that way, et cetera, et cetera. He's like, I was never that thing really. And it was really your guys' issue in the way that like you interpreted me, you know? There is a lot of sexual tension between Ethan and Keemstar.
Yeah.
you.
I
Good you
try that.
changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think
Well, I'm sure
No,
you know
I
that,
agree.
but yeah, I guess
Yeah.
you have insecurity
I agree.
about it because
Yeah.
of Keemstar and people like
I
him.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to
He's
get.
he sucks. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So I fucking hate that guy.
Maybe it's
You know, it's so sad, dude. I came into the commentary community late. I can't even say I hate Keemstar anymore. I just can't do it. There's a lot of things that I disagree with the guy on. A lot of shit. But, like, in his defense, and I don't really, you know, not that I want to be running defense, but he sits down and talks to people, like, who disagree with them. You know what I mean? And, like... So Keemstar, dude, you know, to me, Keemstar is the fucking is one of the mechanics I used to work with. He's like loud, he's abrasive, he's a little fucking, he's a little ignorant. He's very opinionated. But at the end of the day, you could talk to him about the shit that he says. You know what I mean? And I feel like that same thing isn't really said for Ethan. Yeah, I did talk to him recently. Yeah. You know, and it's like, I'm just saying, you know, it's like that willingness to listen. Yeah. And like still learn, you know? And Ethan just doesn't show that. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever get over the fresh and fit thing where like the girl came on and she expressed like a story with Fit specifically and how like they met up and she made this narrative where like she never wanted to be around him alone and all this, and he wouldn't give her wallet back unless she gave she gave him her number. And then Ethan's like, I think that sounds like you were assaulted. And then, you know, even the way that she told it, not really. I mean, she kept hanging out with him. She went back to his place at 5 a.m. They kissed. After they kissed, she went and she got mouthwash because she said your mouth stinks. So she did that. Then she sat on the bed with him, and then, like, you know, he made a remark about her body, and then she wanted to leave, and people were like, well, that's still this, that, but then she wanted him to drive her home, so clearly she wasn't uncomfortable being alone with him. But then when the messages came out, like, it turned out she wanted to hang out with him by herself. There was no wallet situation. She messaged him first. It was a very mutual. And then Ethan didn't even watch any of the video and just doubled down and be like, oh, the only time he has sex is when it's coercive, which is rape. And it's like, how do you respect somebody who's assassinating the conversation about sexual assault? Because what do you think happens? Everybody, like, dude, I don't give a fuck about the little progressive dickheads that are like, okay, sorry, not progressive dickheads, but the people who already agree with Ethan, I don't care about them. Like, I like that they watch some of my videos, some of them do, but like, I care about the people who don't agree with Ethan that now watched that and said, see, every woman lies. And that's not the reaction you're supposed to have, because it's like I'd say it's like fucking 1 in 1,000. I don't know. I'm just giving 1 in 100. Maybe it's a little more. But the overwhelming majority of cases that are proposed are like real, I think. The thing is that this turns us off to people. It's the same thing. Like, you know what? You got fucking, you know, black people only having to have 1 or 2 or 3 bad interactions with police officers. All of a sudden, they're just going to look at every single police interaction as bad. Is it rational? Probably not. But that's a human response. Women, it only takes a few bad interactions with men. All of a sudden, they're fucking afraid of men. Is it logical? Probably not. But it makes sense to have that response. The exact same things happen with fucking young men seeing fake allegation stories. It only takes a couple of them, a little bit here and there, and all of a sudden they're feeling the same way. They're like, I don't give a fuck. Like, they're going to tune out. Every single woman's lying now. And so, like, you shouldn't be part of that. So, like, how do you kind of move through that? You know, like, that's a really big deal to me. And it's kind of a pattern for Ethan. And after that, the whole Gideon thing, where, like, Gideon made this video. He was just going to, like, the most racist town in America. He was making a video. And Hassan's commentary almost immediately was like, oh, he's just whitewashing this. And he doesn't care about black issues. You got a fucking black guy. And Gideon's like, yeah, no, I do. I'm a black guy. I've been a black guy. And I've always experienced racism. It's just fucked up. And then what's the next thing that happens? Ethan doesn't watch it and just like, yeah, you're right, Hassan. Like, it's just like, fuck. You know, this is like this laziness and lack of willingness to engage in the content, you know? Just fucking, I don't know.
It's just like a Lebanese girl thing, because Anissa and Lena are both Lebanese.
That's
Maybe
what
it's they're both witches.
interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like a racist
I
thing.
think it's like the nose. It's the Lebanese.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
There's something about
That
it.
also seems
Come on.
bad.
Don't even say that. You have a perfect nose.
I have like a little.
Are they? I think they're joking, but are they actually trying to draw a line of like racism here with Keemstar? That's a little. In this case, I don't think it really works out.
little bit, but it's very small.
Don't even say that.
Keemstar notices.
Yeah, you start noticing.
He notices all imperfections. Well, there you go. When you have a perfect mind, body, and soul as him, then you have a
But
right
Team
to.
Star, if you're listening to this,
He is.
No, I know that you actually do mean well,
Yeah.
and I do believe you when you say you want the event to be a success.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I'm sorry if my words hurt your feelings.
Oh, what did he say? Did he tell him
I
to go
was
fuck
hurt
himself?
by your words, which is why I retaliated the way that I did.
And he said what that hurt you?
Just that we're running the show
event
properly.
poorly, right.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, which
I
was
think
enough.
it's hard. We care
Why did Keemstar say they were running the event poorly?
about this show.
Yeah, you work
so much.
hard. Some dipshit Keemstar is telling you.
I mean, your whole life is about
It's
it
our
right now.
baby, literally. Like, it's kind of crazy. We didn't. Like,
He's half Irish too. Oh, that part I hate. I hate Irish people. I'm just kidding. My wife's Irish.
we didn't do a wedding other than going to Vegas. We didn't plan anything, and then all of a sudden we decided to host a giant like
Right.
influencer boxing.
This is
event.
your wedding.
This is our wedding, basically.
Right.
So it's like we're so passionate about it.
Woo. Okay. Interesting. I'm kind of curious in his response though, since we're here and I have to educate myself on this shit. So.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of iDubbbz Complains. This is a very special episode where I get to tackle two topics that I've recently become very passionate about.
All
That is
right.
a section of my audience who thinks they know me, and my opinion on sex work.
Okay.
You can sort of see where these two will collide. For those of you who are unaware of the drama I recently brought upon myself, I'll fill you in. My girlfriend started an OnlyFans account, which is a website where you can upload amateur porn. Anything from double penetration all the way over to lewd cosplay and everything in between. And I think all of it is cool. Yeah, I know. I didn't think it would be a controversial opinion either. A good amount of people are just doing the reasonable thing and just making jokes and laughing about it. Yeah. But there's a whole nother group of people who feel personally devastated and betrayed. You lied to us. First of all, I'm not your fucking dad. Like, if you don't want to look up to me anymore, that's fine. I don't want you to look up to me. First up, we got Edward. He probably got told by a lot of people that he looks like iDubbbz. And he really liked that because iDubbbz was cool. But now that iDubbbz is a simp, now he's going to go in full baby Wawa mode.
True.
No, shut the fuck up, you dumb fuck. You don't get to ha-ha funny yourself out of this one. You're a simp. You act all edgy and cool on YouTube and then go and film your girlfriend shoving anal beads up her ass for OnlyFans afterwards? Fuck you. You lied to everyone. You ruined my life.
Wow.
Oh, looks like I did something a little too edgy. Edward, I don't know.
I wonder how much of the backlash iDubbbz is receiving is even from most of the people. He's even saying like, hey, most people are just memeing, which I think is fun. It's funny. I wonder, like, was there like a massive amount of people? Everybody just keeps saying we thought it was cool when you were running around in an oversized cop suit. Okay.
Know where you got the idea that I was cool? Do you think it was cool when I was playing with anal beads? It's cool when I play with anal beads. Do you think it was cool when I was running around in an oversized cop outfit? That was cool to you.
Yeah, that is pretty cringe. He's right. But again, this was the morals. Like, a young kids thought it was really funny, and that's who he was appealing to.
Because he's
just like young kids think the doodle bops are cool. You know what I mean?
a hypocrite.
And they are.
He makes content cop and targets people, but he himself have girlfriend whoring herself, and he does nothing about it. What am I going to do?
Kill her.
Do you think I should just like take a shotgun to her head?
No. I mean, like, if you really cared, you could break up with her, but you don't have to. Like, I wouldn't let my wife do anything. I would leave her. I'd say you're not doing it. You know, which is that's everybody's personal decision when it comes to their relationship contract. You know, but you don't have to do anything about it.
No, bitch, it's time to die now. No, iDubbbz, you should break up with her. But I'm cool with it. You do realize there are guys out there in private right now jacking off to your girlfriend. But I guess it's out of sight, out of mind.
There's guys in private jacking off to me. That's a fact.
It's not a problem. You think these fucking retards would actually...
Whoa! Come on, bro. What happened to you being woke? You can't say that word. You shouldn't be saying the R slur, okay? It's a pejorative against people with intellectual disabilities.
Do a smidgen of research because, like, I did it and I found the potential hypocrisies in what I say in the past, and it's pretty fucking consistent. The funding for the slut shirt is actually very, very low. Skanktown, USA, softcore porn all over the walls. Pretty nice, huh? You know, like, I'm not saying that women should be sexualized or shouldn't be. I'm just saying that there is the market for it, so it makes sense that they would do it. I would say skank and slut, but never was that part of my argument. It's just flavor. Like, in the future, I'll probably say slut and skank again. I don't know why everyone thinks that, like, I made a stand. I stood on top of a hill, and I proclaimed to all my loyal Christian followers, no porn shall ever cross my screen. No woman that I date shall ever lower her standards to the point of being half naked. Let me have my hope, all right? I want to believe he's too intelligent for this. Intelligence has nothing to do with it, but I will say...
A lot of these comments seem to have, like, 3 likes. Like, all these comments you're picking out have, like, 0 likes on them. 1 like. Are these the majority of the community, or is this you being frustrated at, like, almost nobody that exists?
Have my hope, all right? I want to believe he's too intelligent for this. Intelligence has nothing to do with it, but I will say this. If you want to retain hope that I'm intelligent, this is the most intelligent thing I've probably ever done, is revealing this side of me, that I'm okay with sex workers and girls being slutty. It has no bearing on my life whatsoever. And the sooner you realize that for yourself, the better. I wanted to talk more about all the shitty takes that people have, and this guy that we're going to watch has pretty much listed all of what the arguments are for people.
Everyone can see what he's seeing for a few dollars, removed from the pedestal. Is that how you spell pedestal? I feel like it's not. Internet is a forever archive. Future jobs? Exclamation question mark.
Who don't morally agree with the situation.
So on the cons, we have everyone can see what he sees for a few dollars.
What exactly do you think I'm seeing? Do you think she's shooting fireworks out of her pussy? Do you think she's screening the Matrix?
Well, okay, listen. Like, the argument here is that like your partner's body is supposed to be like something that's like coveted, like sacred. Okay, like it's supposed to just be for you, your eyes only. Like that's part of being in a monogamous relationship. You don't have to adhere to that standard, but like you should understand the argument. I understand the argument. I don't care, okay, but I understand the argument. I get where people are coming from.
Matrix Reloaded down there? It's not a mystery. It's a pussy, dude. And then there's no special pussy. It doesn't become less valuable the more people see it. If that's the case, my body and my person is the most valueless thing on the planet.
The internet is a forever archive, so there's no I regret delete all button. That's not quite there.
I don't know why this shitty point is being made. It's sort of like from 2003. By the way, the internet, it's a forever archive. Didn't know if you knew. But when you upload something, it might stick around. This isn't done impulsively. Like, what do you think? Someone's just going to make an OnlyFans just on a whim? Didn't give it any thought. Just thought maybe I'll sell my pussy online and see how it goes.
And then future jobs.
You know, the sad part is most people think that they don't have to sell their pussy online. They're like, yeah, I'll just do a couple of lingerie pics. You want to make money, bro? You got to do some nerdy shit unless you're a celebrity, bro.
They might be a little bit harder to come by.
She seems to be in a celebrity status. But
one of the most important opinions to highlight because it really demonstrates a severe lack of real-world experience when you're saying that future jobs are going to be harder to come by because of an OnlyFans account.
Well, that actually is kind of true. I think a teacher got fired. Listen, again, I think that she should be able to do her thing, you know, whatever. But, yeah, it can be difficult to get a job. It can be difficult to get another job. The thing is, she doesn't need it because she has a bunch of money, so she's not going to have a problem. And in the future, hopefully, it doesn't look bad for people trying to get jobs. But it is something to consider, is the potential of not getting a job. Especially since, like, a lot of times, like, this, if you do blow up on OnlyFans, and this doesn't apply to them, again, they have money, but, like, your friends, your family, your neighbors can come across it at some point. You know, and, or your kids. They can think about it. You're fucking, imagine you're a mom, you're a hot mom doing OnlyFans. And your fucking, like, your kid's friend sees it, and they're like, oh, I call your mom's pussy, and they start beating the fucking shit out of the kid. They wouldn't beat the shit out of the kid, but they might be they might bully the kid. And then it just spreads. Yes, Illuminati situation. Can I have your mom's OnlyFans? It's really fucking up. My mom has OnlyFans. My friends saw it and they got made fun of me. Can I see it? Can I see it? Can I see that? Illuminati is fucking wild for that one, brother.
Like, if you think this affects your standing or your social credibility in getting jobs, you are so sadly mistaken.
I just disagree at that point, fundamentally. I don't think you should be looked down upon for doing that, but it does happen. It is a thing. It is something you need to be careful about. I think that when we talk about sex work, we should talk about it in a way that's not like it's amazing or it's shit. It's in a way that's like, hey, listen, you should be able to do it, but it can be very stressful on your mental health, and it can hurt your ability to get a job in the future if it does go like really well and blow up, and it can be very like fleeting. And if you really want to do it, unless you're like a big celebrity, you really have to show, like, you have to spread your entire asshole. Like, we should be talking about this in the right way. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
And I will also say, if you want to morally grandstand, one of the shittiest things that I think you can do morally is judging someone about what they did previously and not hiring them even though they're qualified for the job. This is straight out of the playbook of the boomer who's decaying in his lazy boy, who
looks kind of like me,
wants to tell you, no, that ain't gonna work. No one's gonna hire you looking like that. The bone through your nose? Yeah, forget it. Yeah, the stud going through your tongue? No one wants sluts working for them. And the dyed hair? Don't get me started on the dyed hair and the tattoos. No one's gonna hire you looking like that.
I mean, it does happen. I just, like, again, I don't think that it should, but like it does happen. I would just say, like, okay, it doesn't happen as much anymore, which is like, I think, a good thing, especially at like your Starbucks and your McDonald's and whatnot. But like when you start getting into those higher end jobs, especially if you went to fucking college for 6 years to get a master's degree or whatever, or you might want to try looking as professional as possible, you know, because it could really fuck you up. I'm just saying, bro. I am just saying.
In my head, there would be so many other things to do and make money before stooping to this point.
I find it very fascinating that commentary YouTuber,
Yeah, you
known
said you used to have to take out your piercings when you worked at McDonald's. Yeah, it's like a real thing, man. It's a real thing, brother.
for criticizing others, much like me, would be willing to take the position that sex work is beneath them, that they aren't on the same level as
kinda
sex
funny,
work.
actually.
That's fascinating. I find it really interesting that that's the position you want to take. That I think that'll age quite nicely.
You can add extra money as well, which, I mean, I don't know if it's really needed in that household, considering the dude will pull like 3 million views off of reviewing peanuts, but, okay.
Sounds like someone's a little bit salty. You do realize
That
that
was
if
funny.
your partner is making a lot of money and is very wealthy, that doesn't automatically make you feel fulfilled in the relationship or feel like you're contributing enough. Because based on
I'm just gonna say, man, personally, if you're looking for fulfillment, wouldn't have gone to the OnlyFans direction. I just don't think it would be fulfilling. You do you, and I don't think that it is. I think that's why that's the true motivation as to why she's toning it down, because it sucks. You're selling your body. It's like it just feels objectifying. Like it just does. I just let you know. But okay.
on
yeah.
your argument, then I guess Jeff Bezos' son just should never work at McDonald's. There's enough money in the family. I think there's enough money in that household.
True.
No
Well, the argument as to why like Jeff Bezos' son should work at McDonald's is to build some character. I'm not sure what kind of character you'd build through OnlyFans, but again, like I agree with it. Let her do her thing. I'm just saying.
reason Philip Bezos needs to go on OnlyFans. Doesn't need to lower himself to that standard. The world would be a much better place if people like
Probably would make him look worse to like stockholders and stuff. I'm just saying.
Philip Bezos, I don't know if that's his son's actual name, but if Philip Bezos
Hey, you guys remember
did
this?
OnlyFans, that would be a perfectly fine thing to do.
You guys remember that?
I think what I've learned from this experience is when you're speaking to a large group of people, and
Because
there's
we
some
watched Cyber Noob tell us that was I'm bored. You get it? That was a good joke, guys. If you don't watch the stream, you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Boom.
dudes in the back shouting out their opinions like, I fucking hate thoughts. I hate whores.
Yeah,
Women who
yeah,
sell their body online fucking suck. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Instead of ignoring that
Yeah.
and just moving on with my lecture, it might be a better idea to point those people out and say, yeah, I actually don't agree with that shitty opinion.
Yeah.
Because it seems like me just ignoring it has led to like a cultivation of a bunch of retards. That pretty much
Hey,
wraps
you better stop saying that word, iDubbbz. You know what I will say though, because there's a point. I don't know if he made this point or if I'm misinterpreting it. There is something here though that I will say. There is an immense, a profound amount of toxicity when it comes to anything that we talk about on the internet, especially if it's a bit of a if it's a topic like this, something where a very strong community is very against. Expressing an opinion that even slightly deviates from that opinion will get you nay-nayed. So there are probably not that many people who are specifically and exclusively upset about his girlfriend is doing OnlyFans. But it seems like everybody is upset because that's the only people who are willing to talk. Because if you say something against that, what's happening? Everybody's just bullying the fuck out of you. Oh, you're a fucking idiot. Calling you the R slur. You know? So there is something there.
up this video. I love my girlfriend, and I'm totally fine with dudes jacking off to pictures of her on the internet.
That's weird. I personally wouldn't be totally fine. I feel like you don't have to be totally fine with that to be like, yeah, she wanted to do it. I'm a little uncomfortable, but totally fine with people jerking off to your... I don't know, man. Me personally, I wouldn't let it slide.
Doesn't affect me one way or the other. If you are upset by me admitting this, then I suggest you go idolize someone else. Someone who isn't a simp or a cuck. Someone who maybe just gives shitty opinions instead.
Yeah. Me. Come watch me, guys. Okay, interesting little segment. Listen, a little recap. At the end of the day, who cares that she's doing OnlyFans? Who gives a fuck? I mean, 2 years ago was very different, honestly, socially. We're changing very quickly on the internet. So it might seem like it was only 2 years ago, but things changed a lot. I think more people are more accepting of OnlyFans. It seems a little bit more like there's an additional factor here of like doing everything he can to distance himself from his old content in like a weird way that I would say he shouldn't be. Like, I totally get it. Again, people change and they go like, yeah, you know, I don't do that content anymore because I don't agree with it. But there seems to be like this insistence that like I was never the person you thought I was through that old content. And it's like, yeah, you used to be, you just changed. And I think if you accepted that, And it might be a little bit more humanizing for people to be like, yeah, you know, I just got kind of older and I just changed a little bit because I wasn't enjoying the content. Instead, it kind of seems like he's just like, I never liked that content. It was always stupid. So, yeah, I'm going to go take a big pee out of my wiener. I'm going to piss really large out of my penis. You know what the worst thing, though, is that my toilet bowl is really low to the ground and I'm really tall, right? So here's me. Right, so here's my toilet bowl, right? It's pretty low to the ground. There's a little bowl of water. You know, we got like a little back here. You know, a little bowl there. Not too bad. Okay. It has a flusher on the top. It doesn't have the one on the side. No big deal. Here's me, right? Now, I'm 6'4" tall. I'm very tall. So I'm 6'4". I'm sorry. I have to make it more accurate. I'm 6'4", right? And maybe a little bit of a beard here. All over the face. I'm sad. Okay? We have no hair, so we don't have to draw hair. Thank God. Now, the thing is that, like, I'm very tall. I should have probably made my height a little higher. So, when I go wee-wee in the potty, you know, this is the thing. It's here, and then I'm up here. Now, this isn't to scale. It could be better. But there's, like, a good few feet in between here and here. The thing, too, is that I'm a grower. Not a shower. You want some glasses? Here we go. I'm a grower, not a shower. Okay? So it's not like I'm dangling down here. You know what I mean? I'm just pissing from my belly button, basically. So I'm just like... Psh. And, you know, it's one of those really unfortunate things I think that we don't talk about enough in society. Is that there is an issue with a lot of men who, the growers especially... They get self-conscious because like, damn, my pee-pee's not that big because when it's not hard, it's in my body. But we need to normalize understanding that there are growers and there are showers and that you shouldn't feel self-conscious about your size. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout-out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.